So here's how this all happened. I used to run the Word of Mouth Marketing Association. I wrote a book called Word of Mouth Marketing, and I spent the last 4 or 5 years traveling the country, teaching people, companies, about this idea of how do you earn the respect and the recommendation of your customers, how do you scale word of mouth, how do you build businesses based not on bulk marketing, but on people just loving you and loving what you do and wanting to tell your friends. And as we're doing this, as a great business, this social media thing popped out of nowhere. So I'm at a meeting with Dell, who's a client, and I was keynoting a conference there with someone from P&G, Microsoft, Intuit, and all these guys and heads of social media from these 4 big companies said, we need to talk to each other. It's different for big business. The challenges are way out there. Our agencies don't know how to run social media when you've got 1 million employees. And we should put a group together. And as the guy who used to run the trade association, they all looked at me and said, start a group. So we said, great, let's start this thing, which is just for big businesses, not a nonprofit. You pay some good dues, and we help each other. And so what we did with our background in association management, our background in word of mouth, is we cherry-picked the best parts of these business models and said, how can we create something that if you're in charge of the big new thing, if you're, hey, guess what, you're in charge of social media, you're thinking, oh, crap, I'm now doing this really public thing. Everyone's watching me. It's an important mission. The company, the CEO has an opinion. The customers have an opinion. The bloggers have an opinion. Everyone wants to tell me how to do it. There's 28 different departments, and I need help. And it's one of these moments in someone's career where they're either in charge of this career-making opportunity and they can make it huge, or they're screwed. That there's no one else to talk to inside the company because no one's ever done this before. So we said, let's create a group where they can help each other. So this community is based on a big idea, which is people like me. Everyone in the group is head of social media at a gigantic company, $1 billion plus, and all they do is talk to each other. And the magic part of this organization is that if you get the right people in the door, and they really have the same issues and the same concerns and the same backgrounds, they can help each other with things that no one else can. There's this been there, done that thing. So whatever you ask, crazy questions we have all the time. Now, I've got 700,000 people in our retail stores who are employees of the franchisee, and we don't actually control their computer usage because they don't actually work for us. What are you guys doing about that? And someone asks that question, and then Chevron answers about their gas station people, and Home Depot asks about the employees in the stores, and McDonald's asks about, answers about the cash register folks. And these are questions you couldn't ask anywhere else on earth. And so because they all have the same questions, and someone in the group has the answer, we do amazingly little, but we do it well. We have an email list, a phone call once a week called Show and Tell, where one of them talks about some big thing that happened, and a meeting every 2 months. And that's the entire product. And the members absolutely love it. 80 brands become a council. They can bring 6 people, there's 500 people on a council. And we're starting our 3rd council right now, and they just talk to each other. And that's what we do. And it's a fascinating community, and it's just amazing customers, amazing experience, amazing conversations, and we love working with them. So here's the business model. It's the companies pay $10,000, so it's roughly 80 brands in a council, a little ancillary revenue here and there in addition to the dues, so roughly $800,000 to $1 million revenue for each one of our councils. It takes 2 full-time community managers to run each council, which means we're roughly making 60-75% on each new council. So as we grow the company, we've now filled in all the core staff positions. Going forward, we're at the hockey stick part of the growth curve because we sell 80 more memberships. We've got another $800,000 to $1 million coming in. Our costs go up by 200. Repeat, repeat, repeat. So whether it's the next 5 councils makes us a $5 million company, if it's the next 10 councils makes us a $10 million company, we're just at the point where we go from nicely profitable small business to extremely profitable mid-sized business. So the question that we face a lot is what happens after social media isn't the hot new thing. It's important to know that we're not a social media company. We're not the experts, we're not providing the content. People aren't joining to talk to our expensive gurus. And this is where we differ from a trade association that's providing research and support, or someone like Forrester who's got a room full of expensive MBAs cranking out research. that our product is well-moderated conversations, which means very little cost of goods, and our staff expertise that's not about social media. But our staff expertise is about running great conversations and running great communities, which means we're a counsels company, we're not a social media company. Which means as social media peaks or fades away or whatever comes next, what we're ready for, what we're building for is we'll start running a new set of counsels for whatever the next big thing is. Now we define big thing as senior executives in charge of something mission critical, important, meaningful. Maybe it's health and wellness, maybe it's sustainability, or it's the other thing 3 years from now. But whatever it is, there's someone in charge who's a great person, who's got a worthy mission, and they desperately need support and friends and a peer group, and we'll have a group for them. So we're building a business that says whatever the inspirational billion-dollar question is in American business, we're there to help those guys win. And we're also starting a business that isn't fad dependent, that can scale, that can replicate, that can grow to 50 councils, 100 councils on 20 different topics with one solid, sustainable, high profitability business model. The first variable is, can we create individual communities where people have the same need? And if you look at a brand brief that we worked out that sort of developed, that looks at our core attributes, the center of that mind map is people like me. That if we can get the same group of people together with similar needs, talking to each other is the value. The more you broaden it and you bring a newbie in the room or someone who doesn't get what's happening, they now need expert help, and what they're really looking for is consulting. So as we expand to more groups of 80 big brands, we'll then start launching another series of councils for people at maybe $500 million to $1 billion size brands. And we're not sure where the bands are, we're not sure where they have more common interests. So it's going to take a little research to say what is the right band of people like us. So if we can nail that mid-level tier, a much wider pool of people with the same service needs and that our model will serve them well. And if it doesn't quite click the same way, we'll scale more into different topics. And the same kind of councils for big brands on different topics. But either way, there's lots of different ways to expand without reinventing the business, without changing how we work, without spreading ourselves too thin. And this is the ramp-up model. One of my favorite culture moments is that we have everything in Salesforce.com. And we had, at the time, a very early, rough sales team, and we weren't sure, we were paying commissions at the time, so we had, we tried to figure out in the database, how do you track who gets a commission, and we had this absurdly complex system of some people get full commission, some people get an assist and a half commission, and so we built all this stuff in Salesforce, and all these reports and all this data, and it's just a pain in the ass, and nobody understood it, and it was awful, and we were having a staff meeting, and someone said, what if we just did that? It was one of those like, holy crap, I could just erase everything and this would be so much easier. And the woman who built this whole system, she'd invested 6 months in this. Said, hold on a second, she went down the hall and she came back an hour later and the new system was done. And the fact that she threw away 6 months' work without caring, without the politics of being invested in it, that it was just so much obviously better, and that's how we think. It just tossed it out and said, this is great. And there we go, that was the end of it. Those are the moments we love.